Hello again. I visited today the National Maritime Museum in Greenwich, a district in London. It was a very interesting experience. You might think that a museum of that kind would contain a lot of information about naval power and the brilliant successes which the Royal Navy has enjoyed over the years in the struggle for mastery of the sea. This is seen today, though, as a little bit embarrassing, and there's more emphasis on peaceful exploration, and of course, inevitably, the slave trade. The flavour of the place these days can be gauged by looking at the 10 facts about Francis Drake, which is on the website of the Royal Museums of Greenwich, and to which I provide a link above in the description to this video. Francis Drake is one of those men who for centuries was a national English hero. And as a result, it is, I suppose, inevitable that this should mean that those running the National Maritime Museum do their best to show him in as poor a light as possible. Let's see, 10 facts about Francis Drake. What would most of us include in such a list? Well, there's the defeat of the Spanish Armada, of course. Drake was Vice Admiral of the English fleet, which saved the country from being invaded by Spain. It was a close thing. After all, Spain had already occupied half of Europe, including the Netherlands. Surely that must be worth a mention if we're talking about 10 facts about Francis Drake. And what about the raid on Cadiz? We've most of us heard of how Drake singed the King of Spain's beard. As a matter of fact, neither of these events is mentioned, as you will see if you click on the link. The heading describes Drake as expert navigator and Elizabethan hero, pirate and slave trader. Of course, we have to get to the slave trade in somehow these days. And while we're at it, let's call him a pirate as well. We won't mention his military victories though, because we don't want to glorify war. Let's see what the first fact is. Drake's circumnavigation of the globe was also a secret pirate mission sanctioned by Queen Elizabeth against the Spanish. Well, when the ruler of a sovereign nation commissions a sailor to attack the ports and ships of a country regarded as an enemy, that's not really piracy at all. Describing Drake as a pirate is a way of trying to stop people, especially children, from seeing him as a hero. This section continues. He was given permission by the Crown to raid enemy ships and cargoes. Elizabeth commissioned Drake to lead an exhibition against the Spanish colonies on the Pacific coast of America. To lead an exhibition. What sort of exhibition might that be? An art exhibition, perhaps? I suppose that whoever wrote that really meant an expedition, but that his or her English was too poor to make sure that the correct word was used. Seriously, this is one of our national museums, and they can't even be bothered to proofread the stuff on their website. Leading an exhibition, indeed. Check out the link for yourself if you want to laugh. As I say, when the Queen commissioned somebody to attack a country and raid its shipping and ports, that's not what most people would think of as piracy. The second fact is, of course, that Drake was one of the first British slave traders undertaking voyages as early as 1560 with his cousin John Hawkins to West Africa to capture men and women. In fact, Francis Drake released black slaves when he found them, something we will seldom hear about these days. John Sugden, the foremost expert on Francis Drake in this country, said that he was the nearest the Elizabethans got to a significant champion of these people, and the nearest they got to an abolitionist in his attempts to liberate and sometimes repatriate slaves who came within his power. With the help of a black man known only as Diego, he had seen and understood something of a worldview very few Englishmen knew. In the West Indies, Drake had taken 2 Spanish ships and deliberately released their black slaves and sent them ashore that they might gain their liberty. No mention of this from the National Maritime Museum. I provide a link, by the way, to what John Sugden says on the subject in the description to this video above. Here's another fact. Drake did not make an inventory of the booty he had acquired to avoid taxes from the Spanish or claims for it to be returned. Only Queen Elizabeth I and Drake knew the exact amount he looted on his circumnavigation. His voyages were classed as the Queen's secret of the realm. Yes, Queen Elizabeth was fighting a covert war against the Spanish Empire, and Drake was fighting for his country's interests under the personal orders of the Queen. No mention here that he helped save England from invasion by Spain. Whoever put those facts together apparently didn't know about the Spanish Armada. This kind of thing is typical for English museums today. Every attempt is made to blacken the names of anybody who has been held in high regard in English history, whether this might be Francis Drake or Winston Churchill. Other countries venerate their heroes. We run them down.